Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the American Nightmare Podcast. This is episode number 63, recorded Wednesday, June 28th, 2023.
I'm going to do the whole show like this. So as you can
Thank
see,
you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
You are a fucking star, aren't you?
Ah, nice, nice. Yes.
All right.
Is this for real?
Oh, it's for real, sir. It's for real.
All right. All right. Thank you. Welcome to another episode. I think this week I didn't do live, but I think starting next week we're going to do live streaming. Only because I'm seeing that everyone is starting to do that now, and if we want to get more viewers, maybe that's the way to do it.
We're doing it live. We're doing it live.
Do it live, damn it!
Who the fuck are you?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
comb my hair now.
I'm
All right. Exactly.
going to start wearing my
All
my Tom Savini Jason half mask for the show.
There you go. There you go.
I gotta go out and buy some more Speedos.
Woo.
Oh, hey. All right. Well, let's get started with some horror news.
Yes.
All right. Comicbook.com has announced that there's some news here. Pluto TV is starting a 24-hour Godzilla
That's
channel.
awesome.
Woohoo!
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. 24 hours of Godzilla, including some exclusives, and they listed them out on the website. Return of Godzilla, Godzilla 1985, Godzilla versus Biollante, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, and Godzilla versus Destroya. All going to be exclusive to Pluto TV.
There's gotta be a lot because I remember visiting my grandmother.
Dude, their website listed out 85 Godzilla movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
'cause
it's going to include all the Japanese ones, all the classic ones, all the New World Godzilla ones, the Godzilla cartoon, you name it. It's
I mean,
all
I
there.
think the idea of Godzilla 24/7 is a good idea. Like, you know, there's sometimes you're flipping through the channels and you're like, what do I feel like watching? You can just put on some
Yes.
Godzilla. Just put on some Godzilla.
And when you flip to the channel, the first thing
Is
you
this
think
for real?
Right? Right. All right. Wow. All right. Some more news here. We got video game adaptation of Five Nights at Freddy's reaches theaters and Peacock simultaneously in October.
Did you watch the trailer yet?
Yeah, I
It looks dumb.
Yeah, I watched it.
really
I'm like,
don't care for it.
I don't know. I mean, I was expecting something more, maybe, or
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be PG-13, bro.
well, yeah, because I mean, it
Yeah.
was a kid's video game, right? Like
the
it,
game,
it's
the
like a
game
kid.
wasn't that deep though either, right? You were like a security.
No, it
guard.
wasn't. No, but the
So-
thing is, like,
Didn't
I don't know.
didn't Nicolas Cage do that like 2
Blumhouse is
years
putting
ago?
their money at this. Well, he did kind of a rip-off one of it, yeah. And that's because the Five Nights at Freddy's was stuck in production hell for like how many years?
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, we taled about this
Yeah,
in 2020.
yeah, I do recall that.
Yeah, the Nick Cage movie was like a rip off.
Yeah, as I say,
Yeah.
like Willy's Wonderland or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
Willy's
Like it
Yeah,
was
that's
basically
right.
the
It's
same
called Willy's
thing.
Wonderland. Yep. Universal is giving Blumhouse video adaptation Five Nights at Freddy's a theatrical release in October 27th, and the same movie will be available to watch on Peacock on the same date.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. Like after the trailer, I don't even know if it's something I'll watch streaming. Like it, I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. I don't have Peacock, so I'm not gonna.
No.
do
Yeah,
don't
me
either.
neither.
Midsummer Scream convention here in Long Beach this summer will feature a Saw
Ooh,
experience
nice.
to promote this year's Saw 10. The 10th installment of Saw franchise, a film appropriately entitled Saw 10, is set to reach theaters October 27th. And in the build-up of the film's release, Lionsgate will bring the Saw to the Midsummer Scream convention for the first time ever.
Yeah. So what's
Kind of
his name?
excited for that.
The
I
guy
Are
got
you
who,
going for a record?
what's his name? Tobin Bell? Is that the guy who played Jigsaw
yeah.
originally? He's
Yeah,
back,
good
and I'm
question.
like, how are they gonna do this one? I mean, the last one they did a good spin, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I got my tickets to Midsummer Scream, so I will be going to that.
Cool, nice. You have to report in.
Yes. Well, I'll do a recording from my phone. Maybe we'll interview a couple people.
There you
or
go.
something.
That'd be nice.
That'd be fun to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I liked that series, and I'm looking forward to it, regardless of what number it is.
So what's the record for numbers
Sequels?
on horror movies? Is it
Is-
Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I think Friday the 13th is at 12, because there was rumor that
Probably
they were
has
going
it.
to try for 13.
Okay.
So Saw's getting up there.
Yep.
They could do it. They could pull it off. Because really, if you include Spiral,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're already at 11.
because it was from the book of Saw.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Monster Squad, the 1987 comedy horror film, is coming to 4K. According
Yes.
to Twitter feed for Dawn of the Disc,
Yes.
it will be released in 4K soon. No date given. It says brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a new 4K scan of the original 35 millimeter camera negative.
Sweet.
I don't know, man. This Dawn of the Disc, I've been following these guys for a while because they're the ones bringing me, of course, that Halloween trick or treat film featuring my favorite rock stars. But these guys, I don't know how they're doing it. They're getting their hands on original 35 millimeter negatives and making 4K scans out of it. That's pretty awesome.
As I say, so you'll
don't
definitely
know
be getting
who's-
this one, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure who's backing this stuff, but I'm all for it. R.L. Stine comic book Stuff of Nightmares coming out with its second book, Red Murder, coming in September. That's the one I showed you a couple weeks ago there, Chris. That's called The Maker of Monsters.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty good R.L. Stine story. It was really, really gory. It was about scientists chopping people up and making monsters out of body parts. It was pretty freaking crazy.
Nice.
But this new one is coming. R.L. Stine is back with more nightmares from Boom Studios. Last September, Boom released its 4-issue limited comic book series Stuff of Nightmares, The Monster Makers, representing a twist on the classic tale of the mad scientist. Stuff O' Nightmares, Red Murder, is hitting comic book shops this September. This time, Stine is taking on the horror, taking us to a horror convention. Sounds like it might be pretty awesome.
Is R.L. Stine a dude or a chick?
That guy.
Yeah.
It's a
How
dude.
old must he be? Because he's been putting shit out since I
He
was a
looks
kid.
like, I don't know. I think he sort of looks like Eugene Levy a little bit. He's from
Oh, yeah?
Canada too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, that
think-
guy, you got to start you got to think like he's up there like with Stephen King. I mean, like he's put out like a lot of horror content. That's
It's funny because I always pictured him because it was stuff my kids
Yeah,
read when they
right?
were little. You
right,
know?
but they were
Goosebumps.
popular kids' books. You know?
Yeah, yeah. But this stuff is like this comic book was so fucking gory. I'm like, I hope kids aren't reading this because it would give them fucking nightmares.
Yeah, maybe he's in his waning years. He's decided to let it all hang out.
Yeah, he said this is like. more
Well, what
adult,
was
right?
that movie that was just his stuff? Wasn't there just a movie out that was his stuff? What was that movie we just watched not too long ago that was an R.L. Stine story?
Oh,
Oh.
Fear Street. No.
Oh yeah, the Fear Streets trilogy.
Yeah,
that was R.L.
which
Stine.
was pretty gory.
And I think there's a second one coming out, right, based off of his stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got some shit there that's pretty awesome. All right. Next news story. All right. James Mangold sees DC adaptation of Swamp Thing as a gothic horror movie. That's right. James Mangold is in the process of writing the Swamp Thing movie for the DC universe.
I guess they're not bringing the
Uh,
series back.
So that'll go right to HBO
Well,
probably too.
It looks like there might be a series to it also. Now, originally this was scheduled to be on HBO Max, or Max as they call it now, but it's going into theaters. While doing some press rounds for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, also directed by James Mangold, whose previous credits include Wolverine and Logan, is looking ahead to the next franchise that he'll be working on, the Star Wars prequel, Dawn of the Jedi, and the DC Comics adaptation of Swamp Thing. So in Variety Magazine, which I'll post a link to our website and to our Facebook group, he says he doesn't like to have the franchise mindset when he approaches projects like that. He doesn't see Swamp Thing as just another chapter in a huge DC universe, but as its own standalone story. Not a superhero movie, but a horror movie.
Nice.
And remember, we've heard this on the news a little while ago that James Gunn is saying that, hey, phase 1 of the DC extended universe for film is going to be Gods and Monsters. And as part of that, Swamp Thing is a monster. Now, I have some, if you watch the old Swamp Thing movie from the 80s, it doesn't hold up. It's not that great.
It's cheesy.
Okay? But I have a nostalgia for it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
I loved that movie as a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Especially, reading the Swamp Thing comic book and then seeing, oh my God, they're making a Swamp Thing movie. This is awesome. And it was like shit. It wasn't really good. But as a kid, it was like, oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of nostalgia for it. So I'm hoping this kind of will also touch that nostalgia, but be something better.
We can always hope.
Can always hope.
Is this for real?
Right.
We hope so. We hope so.
All right. Mike Flanagan is optimistic that his Stephen King Dark Tower series is going to happen. According to Deadline, interview with Mike Flanagan is talking about the fact that the writer's strike is slowing down the Dark Tower progress. Mike Flanagan is optimistic that his Stephen King series will happen.
He jumped off of Netflix, though, didn't he? Didn't he say he was going to take his stuff somewhere else?
Yeah, Hulu.
Yeah.
Hulu.
Yeah.
I think Hulu, right? Or Prime.
Yes.
Is it Hulu or Prime?
No,
Hulu.
It's Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think my understanding is that he's going to be doing a couple things for Hulu.
That's a good get by them.
Yeah, I mean, he says there's a lot to unpack to properly adopt the Dark Towers book, and I don't know if you guys have read any of that. That series of books is very long,
Yeah,
very
it's humongous.
Yeah, people were unhappy
Yeah.
with the movie that came out, so.
well. That movie was fucking trash. I was optimistic when I watched it. I'm like, what fucking garbage? Like, not even close to where it needs to be with that storyline. Come on, you got to get people interested in it and turn it into something big so it can be.
That's why it should be a
big
series instead of a
Yeah.
movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you can
It
drag
gives
it
you
out
time
and
to breathe. Let it breathe.
Yeah.
Let the story unfold slowly. It doesn't have to be squeezed into a 2-hour movie.
exactly.
Or 2.5 hour
Exactly.
movie.
That's the good thing about these streaming services. They're creating stories that can be told over extended periods of time instead of trying to tell you an entire story in 2 hours or
Yeah.
less.
It's really revitalizing the storyteller genre of television.
Yeah.
You know, more than just episodic bullshit, rom-coms and shit like that. This is long storytelling over many seasons or many episodes. I love it. I
Yeah.
love this stuff.
Like it on television, man.
Yeah, and
Right.
and I like the fact that some of them are going back to spacing the episodes out because that keeps viewers like if you can binge watch it, like, you're like, oh, that was great, and you're like, you forget about it. You're not talking about it. But if you spread them out, and I think Jon Favreau said that's why he did The Mandalorian this way, was that it gives people something to talk about from week to week, and then other people hear people talking, and
Dude, those shows like WandaVision and The Mandalorian, they single-handedly brought back the water cooler chat.
yeah, exactly.
Like showing up in the office and people going, dude,
Did you watch
see
it? Did you
WandaVision
watch it
last
yet?
night? Did you watch Mandalorian? Did you
Yeah.
last night was amazing.
Yeah.
And then you get numbers like, hey, 30 million people watch it in one night. That's great stuff. I like that stuff. I
same
know
here.
a lot of people prefer the binge shit, and I do sometimes feel like, oh my God, I can't wait till the next episode. But I love the camaraderie that it creates around this. The
Agreed.
chatter.
Agreed.
The something to talk about when you're with your friends. Like you out for a drink, you go, holy shit, did you watch your Mandalorian last night? You know?
Yeah, or like, hey, I just binge watched the whole series. Do you want to talk about it? I'm only on episode 2,
Yeah,
man.
I'm only in episode 2. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk
keeps-
about it next
keeps
time.
everyone kind of in that chain. And if it's good enough to keep everyone, hook, line, and sinker into it,
Yeah.
then every week you guys will have something to talk about
Right.
or discuss, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to remember, Mike Flanagan, he's no
Stranger to series.
stranger to this stuff. Look at Haunting of Hill House was fucking amazing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Bly Manor was not very good.
No, but what was that vampire one that he did too?
Oh, yeah.
The
Oh yeah, the Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass, fucking amazing.
Yeah, and actually
Fucking amazing.
the Midnight Club, I think, was what it was called. Wasn't bad either. I liked it.
Wasn't bad. It wasn't as good as those other two, but it wasn't bad.
But it kept me, like, each episode I wanted to see where it would go next. You know, I was
Exactly.
interested enough.
Yeah, so I really feel like if you can pull the writer strike's about to get real ugly. You know, we're into the second month of the writer strike, and now we have SAG.
Yeah.
And they're all going to be actors are walking now too. So that means it's going to interrupt all the filming that's going on right now. And not to be a dick or anything, like it sucks, but you know what? Fuck those big money bastards.
Yeah, right?
If they don't want to pay their fucking workers, man.
Yeah, exactly.
These people put their creativity into this shit, and they get paid pennies.
Yeah, you're making billions
pennies.
off these people, and all they want to do is make a little extra, and you're like, oh no, we'll get computers
Right.
to replace you.
Bullshit. That'll never happen. That's bullshit. And the funny thing is, when you look at the writer's strike that happened a few years ago, the writers are like, dude, we want a cut of streaming. And all the big companies like, streaming is nothing. It's only Netflix. It's only Netflix. You don't got to worry about streaming cuts. Nope. Look what took over the world. Fucking streaming.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, okay, we want protections from AI. And big companies are going, come on, you don't got to worry about AI. Yeah, you do have to worry about AI. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm tired of my rant.
No,
But anyway, so I'm
one of
looking forward to the Dark Tower.
But one of the series like I'm anticipating on watching, they said it won't be out till 2025. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like,
Well, writers, that's the thing too. Like I'm looking at Deadpool 3. Those guys like write on the set.
yeah.
That's all halted. There ain't no writing going on right now.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just was up in Hollywood a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, right? And the writers' strike, we drove by. They got in cars and went to another location. I came home and it's that. You ever watch Adam Ruins Everything?
No.
The guy Adam, whatever, I can't remember his last name. But I watched his live feed. They went and interrupted a filming set of a new Marvel TV show.
Oh, nice.
And it's Miracle Man, which I didn't even know they were making. And they were actually filming it, but they interrupted the filming of it, which was cool.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, fuck those guys. You don't want to pay? Fuck those guys. All right.
Damn billionaires not wanting to give up like a couple cents here and there.
Yes.
Right.
Who the fuck are you?
Right.
Just some guy trying to make it by.
Right. All right. Ted Lasso star Juno Temple has offered some updates on Venom 3. That's right.
Ugh.
Venom 3 is filming. Now listen. Venom 1, the storyline was shit.
Venom 2 is even worse.
Venom 2, Let There Be
Was
Carnage,
even
was
worse.
even fucking worse, and they ruined my favorite character. Venom was as a teenager, there were two characters that I read all the time. Carnage and Wolverine. Carnage was the shit. Like, Maximum Carnage, one of my favorite fucking storylines of all
It
time.
was good.
They ruined it. They ruined it. They ruined him. Anyway, Venom 3 is rumored to release October 2024
Did
through
Hardy
Sony
again,
Pictures
too?
Entertainment.
Hardy,
What was that?
Hardy
I would
playing him
assume so.
again, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so my understanding is that in that film we are going to have Venom, right? We're going to have Eddie Brock, what's his name, as Venom.
Yeah.
We're still going to have Carnage. He's not dead. I know they kind of showed him getting eaten at the end. He ain't dead because the rumor is that Stephen Graham, the guy that plays Detective Mulligan, at the end they showed him infected with one
Yeah.
of the symbiotes. That's going to be Toxin, most likely.
Nice.
So Toxin is interesting.
Carnage's child.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not holding out any hope for it though.
I'm pretty sure the writing is still going to be shit. It's a fucking Sony movie. I mean, did you see the Kraven the Hunter fucking trailer? Garbage.
No Spider-Man.
What's the point? All right. Freddy Alvarez, the new Alien movie. Yes, director Freddy Alvarez's new Alien film has been given a 2024 theatrical release date despite originally being planned for Hulu. They're now going to put it out in film. They learned their lesson from Prey,
Yeah.
and now they're going to put it right to theaters first.
I like Fede
You know,
Alvarez. He does some good shit.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. We know a couple things about what this movie's going to be. Right now, it's codenamed Romulus. We don't know the actual name of the film's going to be. We do know that when Fede Alvarez pitched it to Ridley Scott, it was stuck in his head. He couldn't stop thinking about it. So he was psyched about it, and he gave the job to Fede Alvarez, which is awesome.
Nice.
There's going to be no connection at all to any of the other Alien films.
Okay, that's fine.
It will be a theatrical release, followed by a TV series
Oh, sweet.
that will be on Hulu.
I'm a fan of the Alien series. I'm a fan of Freddy Alvarez, so I'm gonna look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Marvel Zombies, Black, White, and Blood has been announced. This is a new Marvel series coming out in October. Marvel's hit Black, White, and Blood series delivers some of the most violent and savage adventures of pop culture's deadliest icons, including Wolverine, which I read that series. Awesome. Carnage, Black, White, and Blood was fucking awesome. Moon Knight, didn't read that one. Don't know why. And even the new one that's in production right now, and actually the first couple issues are out, is Darth Vader, Black, White, and Blood. I will say, fantastic black and white comic books. The only thing colored in it is blood, and they are all very gory.
Sweet.
So now this is coming out as Marvel Zombies, Black, White, and Blood.
Sweet.
Prepare yourself for the unimaginable horror as Marvel Zombies gets Black, White, and Blood treatment for a new 4-issue miniseries. Just in time for Halloween this season, Marvel Zombies, Black, White, and Blood will satisfy fans' cravings for terror with shocking tales from the host of all-star writers. This action-packed, utterly original, glorious, gory anthology series will be set in a universe where the Avengers, the X-Men, Spider-Man, and many more Marvel heroes and villains beset by an ever-growing zombie hordes and transformed into flesh-eating monstrosities.
Nice.
In a brutal, blood-stained world, can hope survive, or will creeping, gnawing, shambling horror win out at last?
Dude, that 2-part series of the Marvel Zombies on What If on Disney Plus was awesome. Like,
It was fucking great.
I never really would have thought about like superheroes being zombies. And you're like how the hell do you stop a zombie Captain America?
Exactly.
Zombie Hulk.
Exactly.
Like the Hulk was already like terrible, and then you made him a zombie.
Yeah,
How many brains can that guy eat at one time?
exactly. And the thing about it is, the original series was written by Robert Kirkman when he worked at Marvel. He proposed the idea for a storyline, and Kirkman, as we all know, Walking Dead.
yeah.
This guy's fucking great, and Invincible, another fucking.
Oh,
great
he was
comic
behind
book.
that too?
Yeah, he wrote that too.
Sweet.
So he proposed the idea, hey, how about if there's an alternate universe where zombies take over and all of our healers and villains become zombies? And they were like, that's a great idea. And it was probably one of my favorite Marvel What If kind of series that they ever created. All right. Marvel Werewolf by Night one-shot is coming out this October. Werewolf by Night and Elsa Blunstone form an unholy alliance in Werewolf by Night #1. Jack Russell, the original Werewolf by Night, is back with another howling adventure. Looking forward to that one.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And one more comic book news story. Marvel Predator versus Wolverine.
That'd be kind of sweet. Like that'd be
Yep.
I'd read that one.
Predator enters the Marvel Universe as Benjamin Percy pits the two pulp culture deadliest hunters against each other in Predator versus Wolverine. Will be coming out this September. It's a bloodthirsty saga fans have been waiting for. This September, the Predator will be unleashed into the Marvel Universe, and the very first time as he viciously hunts Wolverine across decades of Marvel comic history.
Oh, wow, cool.
In Predator versus Wolverine.
Sweet.
All right, that is the news.
You are a fucking star, aren't you?
All right.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
All right, let's move on with 5 great flicks to watch on Max. So I picked 5 films that are on Max right now, 5 horror films that I personally enjoy and have watched this month.
One just dropped too, man. I hope it's on your list.
Probably not.
Yes.
It is on my list. My number 1, the first one is Hereditary. These are in no particular order. They're just horror films that are available on Max right now.
I almost rewatched
Child's Play.
I almost rewatched Hereditary the other night.
It's a good film.
It
I
is.
have it on,
I've rewatched it several
4K.
times.
Have you?
Yeah.
Not recently though. Not recently.
We have the original Child's Play.
Nice.
Fucking
Great
love
movie.
that film. And the one that just dropped, Evil Dead Rise, which I watched the day it
That's
started
right.
streaming. Woo!
Yes.
Love that film.
Yes. That was really good.
Yeah. Oh my God, so good. From Dusk Till Dawn, another classic film that I watch every time that I can.
That was such a great cast, and the directorial
cast.
directions by both Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Like you could tell where it switched between the two of them. It was crazy.
Robert Rodriguez makes fantastic films. Like almost all of the films that he's made, except for those kid films. My kids love those kid films. Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Come on, man, that was one of my kids loved so much.
Mine loved it too. Yeah, like my daughter loved it too. I watched it with her one time. I'm like, it's kind of campy, but
weird.
But it's weird. Yeah.
I was like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But that's Robert Rodriguez got his start in that shit. So
I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah. And the horror comedy that I told you guys about, but I don't know if you watched it, Life After Beth.
No, that's with John C. Reilly and Aubrey Plaza, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been on my queue for like the last 3 years, but I have not watched it yet.
Me too.
It's a great film. It's super funny. It's super gory, and it's really kind of weird. It's very weird, but it's a great zombie
And
film.
I like John C. Reilly, and I love Aubrey Plaza, so I can't believe I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
That's next on my list when I'm looking for something to watch and don't know what to watch. Life
You
After
still
Beth
have to watch that one I told you about with Aubrey Plaza and Jermaine Clement.
What's that one?
An Evening with, what was it?
Beverly Loveland.
Beverly Loveland.
Yeah,
That's funny.
That's on my queue too. And I when I was watching something else, I was like, oh, I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah.
Dude, that's another one that is just straight up fucking weird, but funny as hell.
It is.
Yeah. Craig Robinson's in that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Beverly Loveland. He's fucking great.
Nice.
He's great.
He does weird ass movies.
Yeah, this is fucking weird. Actually, it's a very weird role for him, I think. But it's good. It's funny. All right. Now we've got a top five. Top five horror movies that are based on comics.
Or reversed. Comics.
Or comics based on horror movies.
That's right. Either way.
Vice versa. This month it is Sal, Chris, Craig.
Alrighty.
All right. Let's go with my number 5, which I talked about earlier, Swamp Thing.
Nice.
There you go.
That is one of my favorite comic book
This
films.
episode tied nicely into everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
You know it?
Yes.
Yeah,
The first night that we started to do some comic book content.
Yeah.
Is this for real?
We did not plan this, ladies and gentlemen. We did not plan this.
Yes. All right. My number 4, Spawn.
Nice. John Leguizamo was pretty funny in it, though.
It wasn't a great adaptation, but John Leguizamo was actually pretty good in that film.
Yeah, what was it, Balzow or whatever the fuck that clown that he turned into that demon at the end?
I can't remember his name. I haven't read Spawn in a very long fucking time.
They're supposed to be remaking that, though, right?
They are remaking it.
That was huge when that first came out, though. To remember that.
Well, because Spawn was a massive comic book success.
And that HBO series that he did I thought was pretty decent too. I like the animation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. HBO did that, right?
Yeah, like I think it was a 2-season series. I think.
Yeah, HBO ran it. I think.
Because Todd McFarlane's art was amazing, but his writing, the story for the first couple issues of Spawn, wasn't that great. My number 3, Constantine.
Ah, yes.
Yes. One of my
Remaking
favorites.
Yes.
Remaking that one
DC
too,
adaptations.
Right? Remaking that.
My understanding is it's going to be part of the new DC universe. There will be another one, but I don't know if it's going to be like a reboot or a part 2 of the original. I don't know. The thing about Constantine is like John Constantine is the movie character is not a lot like the comic book character. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And I liked what they did with Constantine in the Sandman Netflix series. They made Constantine a woman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joan Constantine.
Yep.
My number 2, Blade. Man, Blade was so good. I remember when that came out going, isn't Blade a Spider-Man character? What the fuck is this? And then
Wesley Snipes
you
was
see
great.
the Marvel thing, and I'm like, God damn, that was good.
Wesley Snipes was great.
The opening scene was like the best opening for a comic book movie.
Yeah, in the club.
The blood shower.
Yeah, the blood shower in the club. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Steven Dorff played a great bad guy too.
Oh, yeah,
Fell
definitely.
off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was in True Detective season 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
was
gave
quite
up.
good in that,
I
too.
gave up after because the second season was so bad. I didn't watch the third season.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
skipped the
but I
second
didn't. I
season, but the
jumped
third
back on.
season was amazing.
Yeah.
And now the fourth season's coming out.
Jodie
soon.
Foster's in it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks
I'm looking
really
forward
good.
to it.
It looks like a 30 Days a Night kind of atmosphere.
Sweet. 30 Days a Night.
Speaking of which, my number one,
Sorry.
30 Days of Night. I actually had that entire series from my late teens, man. Late teens, early 20s. Got that whole series.
Nice. Did the
That's my
movie
top
do
5.
the series justice?
Better.
Really?
The series, I think that movie was one of the scariest
Vampire movies
vampire films.
for sure.
Yeah.
Lots
Yeah,
of
for
blood
sure.
in that one too, right?
Yeah.
Lots of blood.
I think that makes it on a lot of lists.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
It's one of my top 5 vampire movies of all time.
Yeah.
That film, 30 Days a Night, is really good. There you go. That's my top 5. I do not have any honorable mentions. I didn't bother.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, now it's Chris.
Okay, my number 5 is Abattoir. It was from 2016. It was a graphic novel, but the movie itself was supposed to be a sequel to the graphic novel series. It's really good. It's like a twist on a haunted house movie. If you haven't seen it, I would check it out.
Is it
Yeah, I haven't
is
seen
it
it.
animated or live action?
No, it's live action. So
What's
the
it called?
Abattoir.
Abattoir.
Abattoir is like a slaughterhouse.
Okay.
And I just give you the general idea of the movie.
It's
Someone
English?
is what's that?
I said it's English.
Yeah, it is. There's someone that's breaking into homes that murders have happened and stealing the room of the house that the murder happened in.
Interesting.
And they're doing some of those rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting flick. The story is clunky, but the effects are great, and the outcome of when you finally piece it all together is pretty interesting. Yeah, so it was a good movie. Maybe the adaptation of the books wasn't the best. Number 4, Creepshow, which we were doing based off comics or that were turned into comics, right?
Yeah, but either way.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I
Sure.
love that movie. I watched that movie a million times as a kid.
Yep.
We've talked about that one too a lot.
The 2022 comic book series of I had the comic book series.
Joe
of
Hill
that
did it,
from
didn't he?
last year. Yeah, it was very good.
Yep.
My number 3 is Blade. Was that your number 3 or your number 2?
That was my number 2.
Oh, all right. My number 2 was Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. That's been on my a couple of my lists too. Based off the Tales from the Crypt series and also the Tales from the Crypt comic books.
Yeah, I like that one and Bordello Blood.
Bordello Blood was good, not as good as Demon Knight.
It wasn't as good.
I'm a sucker for Billy Zane, and I thought he was great as the demon in that movie.
Yeah.
And my number 1 is 30 Days a Night. Which we've talked about several times in the show and several times tonight already. I do have a couple honorable mentions. I'll just go through them really quickly. Constantine, Swamp Thing, and The Walking Dead.
Yep.
Which is not a movie, a series, and it started to tail off at the end. I stopped watching
It started out strong, but then it just went.
But I thought the first couple seasons were really good. That's it.
Yeah,
for
the
me.
first couple seasons, you could pretty much open up the comic book and frame for frame, they made the fucking show based on the comic.
And it was a cultural
Until it went off
phenomenon
the
for a
rails.
while.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
All right. My number 5, I went with Constantine.
Nice.
And yeah, I got some other ones on here.
Yes.
Number 4, Pumpkinhead. I didn't realize they turned that movie into a comic.
Did they? I didn't know that
They made
either.
that into it. They did make it into a graphic novel. Yeah.
Have you ever read any of them, Sal?
I have.
I have.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 3, I went to 30 Days a Night.
Nice.
And I
Fucking
didn't
good one.
realize that was derived from comic books.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And after 30 Days a Night was very popular, they extended the comic book line. They made a bunch of other stories.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yep.
Sweet. They should maybe make another movie off of one of those.
Yeah.
Number 2, I went with The Crow.
Oh yeah, I forgot the
That's
Crow
decent.
was yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a pretty dark movie. I liked it.
And that's being that remake's coming
That's
out next
getting
year
rebooted
with
now,
Bill
too.
Skarsgård, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I liked it. I thought it was a really good
You
movie too.
dye his hair black. I can see it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I think I saw some photos from the set, and yeah, it looks kind of like Brandon Lee, except not.
Yeah.
I smell weed.
You got
Smoking
your
again?
Sliding door open.
As I say, did you have your test yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So
You have your patio door open.
Yeah, that's the case, yeah.
Yep. Wings and
It
weed.
was probably outside, yeah.
Number 1, I went with Creep Show.
nice.
I think anytime Creep Show's on my list, it's gonna be number 1.
Nice.
The sequel was actually pretty
Yeah.
decent too.
Yeah.
Was that?
I said I love that movie.
Any honorable mentions?
Oh yeah, I saw that Trick or Treat was also turned into
Nice.
Trick
Yes.
Trick or Treat.
Oh, Trick or Treat.
Trick R
Arg.
treat. Arg. Arr, be a pirate. Arr. All right, fantastic.
Yes.
Another successful top 5.
Yes.
I can't believe we're still coming up with them too. Like,
Is this for real?
Yeah, right. Because we seriously are like scraping the bottom of the barrel. That was a good one though.
Yeah.
We haven't had any suggestions for a while.
Yes.
No, we have not.
All right. Let's get on to our review. What
Yes.
is the review.
Yes.
The movie this month is All the Moons from 2020. Let's tap into a little movie info here. So, All the Moons, north of Spain, end of the 19th century, during the final throes of the last Carlist War. A little girl is rescued from an orphanage by a mysterious woman that lives deep in the wood, deep inside the forest. Badly wounded and close to death, the little girl believes the woman is an angel who has come to take her to heaven. Soon, however, she will discover that what this strange being is actually given her is the gift of eternal life.
Yeah.
This is a horror fantasy drama. They say that it's Spanish, but according
Basque.
to
It's Basque.
it's Basque, yeah. According to what is it? Rotten Tomatoes. It says Spanish. I'm like, no. I looked it up. It says Basque.
Yeah,
It's in
well, I
Basque.
mean, in people who live in Spain who are Basque get upset if you call them Spanish.
right.
Like I
Yeah.
just thought they were Spanish, but apparently there's a difference between Basque and Spanish.
Did Rotten Tomatoes
Yeah.
get good reviews or no? I didn't even check.
Yeah, it
Rotten
actually did.
Tomatoes. Critics gave it a 90%.
Ooh, wow. All right.
Viewers gave it a 44%.
It's quite the
It's
disparity.
an hour and 20 minutes long. Directed by Igor Legarreta. It started streaming February 10th, 2022. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. It was released by Arcadia Motion Pictures and Kowalski Film.
I think it was a little longer on Shudder. It was like
It did seem longer than an hour and 20, but not much, I didn't think.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a director's cut or something, but
Yeah.
it says
I
it's
think it was an hour and
20 minutes
40. believe
I
it
saw
or
it won a
not.
couple awards too.
Okay.
I saw.
long. So this was not available in overdub, right?
No.
not
'Cause
that I
didn't
saw.
see that as an option.
Not that I
just
saw. I don't think
saw
Shudder offers that
subtitles.
like Netflix does. Like Netflix allows
Yeah.
you to like overdub a lot of movies, but I didn't see that option on Shudder.
I did do some searching and found that there was a lot of press about when this movie became available on Shudder because it was a highly reviewed movie by critics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when Shudder got the rights to it, it was like, oh, this is awesome, and people can
That's
actually
why
see
I
the
chose
film
it because
now.
I read somewhere that it was like the best movie on Shudder right now. So I was like, okay, let's give it.
Yeah,
A shot.
so I'll say this: a good movie that was cinematography was great. The
Oh,
direction
beautiful.
was great.
Beautiful.
The acting was really pretty spectacular.
The score was
Like,
great. The score I
yeah,
thought
I
was really
didn't-
good.
I didn't know any of these actors, but they seemed like really good actors. Like even the main character, that girl, was
Yeah, for
fantastic.
real. For real, I thought she did a great
Uh,
job carrying that role. I mean, that she was
Barely said a word, but yet conveyed so much emotion just in her acting.
That's what I liked about it because it was foreign. You didn't have to read a ton. It was a lot.
Yeah,
You're
it's
right,
two.
it's a lot
Our last two review movies have been foreign films.
yeah.
Because we're classy.
But like I said, there wasn't a ton of dialogue because it was a lot of her by herself.
You are a fucking star, aren't you?
Because
right.
it's classic.
Because
There
we're
was a
classy.
lot of her by herself.
We're classic.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there
yeah.
wasn't a lot of dialogue, but it kind of reminded me of like a Greek tragedy almost. Like as I'm watching this film,
Dude,
like
it was so fucking depressing.
yeah.
Let me tell you, I don't see this as a horror film at all.
Well, I mean,
like
you throw the vampire elements in there, but they don't really kill. They eat
Yeah,
off the
there wasn't
already
a lot
dead,
of that.
or they kill
Right.
animals, right? Like they didn't,
right.
and they didn't like attack people. Like they were basically in hiding for
Yeah.
It was a
me,
different
it
role
was-
for vampires for me. Like it was
Right,
different,
right.
which I liked
Right.
because the
To me, it
genre. I
was
mean, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, to me, it was clearly a film about loneliness.
Loneliness
Like,
and loss.
Yeah, it was fucking depressing.
Oh yeah, for real. Like, and at the
I
first
mean-
like 20 minutes, like, because it started off slow, and like you could tell when you finally figured out it was a vampire movie, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I hope something picks up soon. But then there wasn't action per se, but I got more invested in the characters. Like I got more
Because
invested in it.
The acting was so superb. Like the emotionality that girl brought to the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like nailed me hard, and it made it so much more impactful near the end, which we won't leak anything right now. I'm gonna say this: we're gonna get into a deeper discussion about this film, so we'll probably talk spoilers for sure. If you don't want to be spoiled in this film and you're looking to watch it, you should
Yeah, go check it
to
out.
Shudder right now and check out All the Moons.
Yeah, check it out.
It's a foreign film. You got to read subtitles, but like Craig said, the good thing about it, there's not a lot of talking in this film. There's not a lot of subtitles to read.
No, which isn't a
But
bad
it was
thing.
Very good. No, not at all, because the film didn't need speech
No.
for the shit that went on
I mean,
in this
the
film
the,
that they had to
the,
convey.
the camera work and the score, and
yeah.
just the emotions that the characters portrayed visually
Absolutely.
was
Absolutely.
could have been enough. Could have been a solid film, really.
Even could have been, yeah. I'm gonna say that, like you said in the beginning, I'm like, I wasn't sure what this film was about, because when the woman took her, and she was dying, and told her, you have to ask me to save you. You have to ask me from your heart. You have to ask me
You have
with
to really want it.
emotion. You have to really want me to save you, and I can save you. And she doesn't give her a clue as to like what that even fucking means.
But the girl's legs are crushed. I mean, the bones are sticking out of both legs because the roof
Yeah,
of the
near
church
the-
fell on her.
completely collapsed.
Killed
on her, because
everybody
they're in
else
the middle of a
underneath it.
war. Right, they're in the middle of a war. It's a bomb that blew up the fucking nursery. The church is like a church
Orphanage,
and
I think,
an
right?
orphanage.
Yeah.
right. And all they're doing is like fucking praying for God, which Christians do instead of actually.
We
doing
won't be
something.
harmed
But
down
then-
here.
Yeah, then the building falls and kills all the children. She's nearly dead. She
Hey,
begs
the Lord
for
acts.
her life.
The Lord acts in mysterious ways.
Yes.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But gives her, has her drink. They don't really show you that it's blood
No.
she's drinking. She's
Right, but
drinking
you're like,
something.
okay, this is a vampire. She's drinking blood.
Right, but the thing is, in the whole film, it wasn't a traditional vampires.
No,
'cause you
not
didn't
at
see
all.
Fangs.
That's what was cool about it.
And
is
they fed off people who were dying. They didn't kill
a
people
traditional
themselves.
Vampire just would have latched onto her and
Right.
Yeah.
dry, and
Right, and it's funny because with the old woman, the woman that saved her, she points to the sky and you see the fire in the sky from the war going on, and she goes, "Listen, we follow those lights. We follow that light in the sky, because obviously that's where the dead are.
Feeding,
That's where
yeah.
we'll feed."
Yeah, and now she has to instruct this young girl on how to live life because it's no longer the life that she knew, and there's cues that you're going to need to be able to tell in order to function as your new self.
Right. So yeah, but right away in the beginning, they get raided by angry villagers that burn down the place they're hiding in, and she winds up alone, right?
Ugh.
Because as she's running, and she rolls, and you see that she rolled off a cliff, and the woman that saved her is like, "Oh my God, she's gone. She's in
Because
the
her
sunlight."
blanket fell off too.
Yeah, her blanket fell off, so now she rolled off a cliff in the sunlight, which we all know vampires burn in the sunlight, and she's like, "Oh, she's fucking gone." And you don't see any more of that woman, but then you find the girl waking up from snow, still alive,
She's buried, completely buried in the snow.
Yeah.
which is what saved her from the sun,
Yeah.
right? But then she's all alone, doesn't fully understand who she is, what's going on. She didn't even get to experience, like, the rules of the game now that she's a vampire, right?
Yeah.
She didn't get any words of wisdom from this older lady. Right.
So then
Right.
she's laying there,
A few.
and the sun starts to move over, and the sun hits her fingertips, and she like reacts like it burned her or whatever. She didn't like the sun hurt her hand, so she
Yeah.
moved out of the sun. So
Yeah.
she knew now that sun is probably not good for you, and then she probably recalled what the woman had said to her earlier about.
And she tried. The thing is, she tries it a couple times. She puts her hands out into
Yep.
the sun a couple times to see, how bad things can be.
That was a cool part of that movie, and maybe we should like. Are we done?
Jumping
like not
forward,
talk-
yeah. I know
yeah,
where you're
talking
going,
about
jumping
like
forward.
stuff because like.
Yeah, we can talk spoilers now. We
All
gave
right.
everyone the warning.
So I thought that was really cool, and that's something I've never seen in a vampire movie. Was her
Yeah.
building up her own immunity to the sun. But,
Right.
And that was pretty cool. Like she would burn part of herself and peel it off.
And then like peel the skin off, and
and
I see
then
that she
burn
would be
more of
healing
herself
under
and peel it off. And like she was just going
Yeah.
out there getting like torched every day, more and more parts of her body until it didn't burn anymore. Which I thought was
Right.
like, I was like, wow, that's a totally cool take on vampirism.
Yeah.
Right. So now
But you
she's
could
able to go
see-
out into the sun.
You could see how long she was in there with all.
Oh
the-
yeah.
That was crazy, right? Years,
Yeah.
how many years we don't know, but it was probably.
Well, that's the
100.
thing. They don't really give you any real clues, except for the fact that later in the film,
Well,
There's
yeah,
you're
planes.
seeing the Spanish Civil War. So it's a long
and
fucking
plus-
time between
plus
those
the
two
little,
wars.
Little boy is now an old, well, not old, but middle-aged guy. So
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe 50 years, maybe, I don't know, something like
Nah, I think it was more than that.
that. Yeah.
Because think about it. When did that first war happen?
I don't know, man. This ain't no history class.
I'm gonna look it up right now. You know what? That's the whole thing right now. I'm gonna stop right the fuck here, and I'm gonna look at this Carlist War, which was the first war. The second war was the Spanish Civil War. We can
Yep.
tell that because there were airplanes by that time. They were that far into the future.
Which one was
50
the
years.
Spanish Inquisition?
That was back in the 1400s or something.
Oh.
Yeah, it says the Carlist War, the final Carlist War, the one that she witnessed as a child, is 1866.
Long after the Spanish
And-
Inquisition.
And then the Spanish Civil War.
Nobody expects them.
The Spanish Civil War took place in 1936. Oh, yeah, that's right. It said it on the fucking screen. That's right. I remember. When the plane was flying over, it said 1936, Spanish Civil War. I
Oh, that's
remember.
right. Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah.
So she was over 100 years old. So
Yeah.
that time in the cave where she was building immunity, that in itself was over 50 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Because then she meets a man. He had to be like in his late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Who
then all of a
adopts
sudden
her
he's like,
as-
and then all of a sudden he's like
Yeah.
near death.
80,
Yeah, 1936, he's on his deathbed as the Civil War is beginning.
Yeah, this is where like that movie for me started. I was like, man, this is not a traditional vampire movie, and I'm fucking
Like
depressed.
dramatic. Yeah.
I just-
That part depressed me the most because here she is, trying to live. She found someone that accept her for who she is. Because remember, she goes into the church, right? Tells the priest, "Can you save a demon?" And she cuts her skin open and doesn't bleed.
Right.
And then it's like, dude, don't go to a church because it all turned out fucking hell for her.
Yeah.
He has to get her out of there, and he's like, "Fine, we're getting the fuck out of town because the villagers are coming to take care of them." He's like, "I'm taking you. We're getting out of here."
Yeah.
And that's where it gets so depressing because like this girl just wants to live. She didn't know she was a child. She didn't know what she was getting involved in when that woman said, "I can save your life, but you gotta really want it."
Yeah, and then she already lost that woman. She lost the woman who sired her. So she,
And wound up And then think about it. She spent 50 years in
Alone.
a fucking cave
Alone.
sucking blood out of weasels and shit, you know?
Yeah, that was pretty cool when she bashed that weasel.
Yeah, like, that's gotta suck.
Yep.
That's gotta
Sunburning
be
yourself.
a shitty life.
Sunburning yourself
Yeah.
every day for entertainment.
Yeah. And it's like, then when she met these other people, she didn't talk. It's like, no wonder she didn't talk. She didn't talk for 50 fucking years in a cave.
Oh, she
Not
got
gonna start
whacked.
blabbing.
I forgot to tell you, like she got whacked in a trap too. That was kind of cool, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's how the guy found her.
So that was pretty cool
Well-
too when he finally brought her in and he was trying to make her eat food.
He gives her garlic soup.
Gave her garlic soup.
Gives
like-
her garlic soup.
Yeah, that was the weird thing, like, because you know how, like, depending on which vampire movie or show you're watching, there's different variations of vampire lore, and certain things that
Yeah.
are effective in one movie aren't effective in another movie or whatever. So it was the garlic soup, and then when she put the Eucharist in her mouth too, like at church, I was like, is that gonna
Yes.
burn her or like?
She had to spit it out.
Yeah, then she actually swallowed one and ended up like throwing up and shit. So
Well, and that's the thing too. Another thing with vampire lore that is always different in different movies, because you think about
Even just
Fright
stepping
Night.
foot in the church, right?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
Think about when it comes to food. Fright Night, the head vampire was always eating an apple,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But then you look at What We Do in the Shadows, and famously in that movie, when the guy eats French fries, he
throws
spends
up.
hours vomiting.
yeah. And I think in True
Like-
Blood too, they couldn't eat like regular food.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you also have the Lost Boys, when the vampire is eating spaghetti in their house and he even eats a mouthful of garlic.
Yeah.
My only explanation there is, the rule with vampires is you can't invite them into your house because it renders you powerless.
That's
So
what's funny though. Didn't that one guy get pushed into the tub with garlic and he like disintegrated?
right, but he wasn't invited into the house.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, the only guy that was invited was
That's the
was
loophole.
was the main vampire.
The head vampire. Yeah. So he could eat the garlic without a problem. He could eat the spaghetti without a problem. He was invited in the house.
The Frog Brothers.
The loopholes.
So yeah, that was my point. Like I was like maybe the garlic's not going to affect her because it doesn't affect them in every.
But she pushed it away. She was
Yeah.
like, no. And he's like, you got to eat her. You're going to get sick. And she's like, fuck, if I eat this, I'm going to get fucking sick.
Yeah.
Without saying a word, of course.
like that body of Christ made me throw up.
Yeah. But then eventually you find out that, when he calls the priest about her, the priest comes and you find out that he lost a daughter.
Yeah.
And that he's lost a wife who was giving birth to a daughter.
Yeah.
And he lost his wife and child at the same
Yeah,
time.
that guy. I thought
So-
that guy did a really good job too. The guy who played
he
like.
would- and that's why I said this film is about loneliness, because he was completely alone
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
who knows how many years. He looked like he was in his mid-30s, right?
yeah, because they said they
And
missed his
then-
cheese because he wasn't delivering cheese to the townfolk anymore.
Because probably depressed over the fact that he lost a wife in childbirth.
Sure.
Then he adopts this girl, right? And lives out his days raising her as a daughter of his own.
And goes back to society and is happy again and she's
Yep.
happy too because she has someone to to hang out
Yep.
with and
Yeah.
And then they flash them leaving town because they found out that, she went to the church for help. The priest is a fucking dick.
well plus she was
Uh,
eating all the livestock in the community.
Yeah, everyone's like, a chicken.
Those
Someone
wolves
broke
again.
in. A wolf must have eaten all my chickens. Someone set some traps.
Yeah, I was like, well, like all the livestock was disappearing too, so that probably didn't help.
Well, and it's funny, you could tell that he was attached to her, because when she finally broke down and said, I need blood, give me blood,
Yeah.
Gave her a
he,
goat.
he went and got a goat and gave her a bowl full of blood.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it was a
That
sad.
was cool,
There was a
too,
lot of
that
sad
one
parts.
part.
yeah.
That one part she snuck out and she was like climbing down the wall. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
vampire-esque. I was like, okay, there's some stuff you see in a vampire movie that we haven't
Yep.
quite seen yet so far.
Yeah.
And then the boy that she fell in love with, kind of, and he found out she was weird and decided he didn't like her
Yeah, he shut
either.
the
and-
window and
Yeah,
get away.
Yeah, so to me, the whole film, I know it's under the guise of a vampire movie. It was about loneliness for me. Watching the old man lonely, then he finally has her, and then in the end, he outlives her, obviously, because she's a vampire. A child forever. She can never grow up.
yeah, and
And-
then at the very end, you find out like the gift. She runs back into this woman who sired her, after how many years was it? Like 100 years.
Yeah.
And she's living in a cave somewhere, and she finds her, and she bitches her out.
She has an opportunity to save two people, and she didn't though either.
And
right?
doesn't, yeah, because she's come to realize it's not a gift, it's a curse.
Not a gift.
That's
right.
right.
Because
So
of the
she had a
loneliness,
chance-
because
she had a-
you know.
She had a chance
Yeah.
to save her papa, and she had a chance to save her boyfriend or whatever he was there.
Yeah, the guy the
when he was a
kid that she
soldier,
grew up
and
with.
she's like, you know.
No.
And then the best part at the end is when she says to the woman,
Did you not
You
love me?
didn't-
Like,
"Yeah, you didn't give me a gift. You took something from me." And she said, "Well, what did I take? Death. You took death away from me." And that
Yeah.
was fucking like, oh shit.
yeah, so then that was a pretty cool, like, what happened then was pretty cool, like, because that dove back in other vampire lore. If she died, then whoever she sired was no longer a vampire, correct? Is that
Right,
what we were
right.
trying
That's
to
correct, yeah.
understand there?
Yep.
Because she said, if you love me, you'll give me that last gift. And so she
Yep.
comes out into the sun and basically like fries.
Lets herself
That was
burn
cool,
up into
cool
nothing.
effects in that too.
That
Really
was
good
cool.
effect.
And then the little girl jumps off the cliff into the water and comes back out.
Suddenly
and
she's like, "Oh, I feel pain."
yeah,
She had
yeah.
her period. She had her
Yeah,
period.
yeah,
She
that
had
was
a period in
I was
the
like, wait a
water.
minute, what did she cut herself? I was
What
like,
the
oh,
fuck?
that's it's like, so she's a
minute,
human
did-
again. So she's a human again.
Falling into the lake gave
That's
her
right.
her period.
That's sort of how they told you that, when the head vampire lady dies, she became human again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was-
It
yeah.
a really, really cool ending, right? Really awesome.
I
Yeah, I
thought
thought
so.
it was. Listen, like I said, I don't call this a horror film per se,
No.
but
No.
god
No.
damn it, was it a good film?
Yeah.
I actually tend to agree with the critics and not with the audience in this case,
I agree.
because I really enjoyed that film.
Do you think
Yeah.
it's because a lot of people just expect certain things from a vampire
Yes.
film that
Yes,
it
yes.
wasn't what they expected? But I
It
like to
wasn't
get
th-
things I don't expect sometimes, you know?
Right.
And
It wasn't the usual tropes. It was
Yeah.
something
It's-
unique and
it's
different.
Just like Let the Right One In, too. That's not a typical vampire movie.
Right.
to be honest, if I didn't know, I thought it reminded me of like a Guillermo del Toro movie. Like it had all
Yes.
the the
Yes.
stuff that you typically see in a del Toro movie. And it was
Yes.
Spanish. I'm like, I can't believe this is not a del Toro movie. But I love all
It
his
was really
movies.
good.
You know,
Yeah, it
and,
was
and
really
those
good.
borderline typically between horror, fantasy, and tragedy. This
Like
one
The
was
Devil's
definitely
Backbone. It was a classic one.
yeah, this one's definitely tragedy. Like it was sad,
Oh, yeah.
depressing.
But good.
Yeah,
with
I would say
vampires.
it's more of fantasy tragedy than it is horror.
Yeah,
fantasy.
and they don't romanticize vampires in it either. They're
No,
hunted.
no.
They're slinking around in the dark. They're not dominant. They're eating off of scraps. Like they don't make vampires anything special in this.
Right, and that's
No,
the
they're
thing
not
is like
hunters. Yeah, vampires.
I
are not
kept
hunters.
waiting for the moment where
She
you
like
know, that
snapped
little
and be,
girl. Right, because the way that people were treating her, the way the priest treated her, the way
Yeah.
that like I figured she was gonna jump up and bite him in the neck, but none of that
No.
usual tropes of vampirism
Yeah.
and vampire movies.
Yeah, and I appreciated that.
it was good. It
And
was
there
a
was
very
it,
good film.
It was a good movie all around, in spite of the fact that it wasn't a traditional horror.
Yes. Yep. I completely agree with that. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and in fact, I texted my son because he's not really into a lot of horror films.
Mhm.
His girlfriend is, but he's not. And I said, "Dude, you should watch this film. It's a vampire film, but it's not like anything I've ever seen before.
No, it's
It's kind of like Let the Right One In, but this one is even more.
and less
It's
gore.
even less
gore.
tropes and less gore. Yeah.
Yeah.
But about a relation,
Um,
the girl looking for belonging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's about
People.
how loneliness. It's about
Yeah.
loneliness, man. Because every character that they portrayed in there had a problem with loneliness.
Right.
Whether it was the father, whether it was the woman that changed her,
Whether it was her.
the girl herself. Right. It was all about loneliness, and man, did it hit me hard at the end there too.
The women.
When
Yeah.
she
the woman
said,
that
"You
used to
give me
cheat."
back the thing you took from me. You took death away from me."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
it was-
"God
it was good.
damn,
Yeah.
that
The ending was
fucking good."
The ending was awesome. It was powerful.
It was, yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna say 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it.
That's
It's
where
a
I was
good
going to go
movie.
too. I was also going to
Yeah.
say 3.5.
3.5 is solid.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those films that if you don't mind a vampire film, not filling the vampire tropes, not following the template of a vampire film.
And
you
subtitles,
want
but it doesn't really
something-
matter.
Yeah, you want something different. You want something deeper. This was really good. It was really good.
For sure.
Awesome.
Nice pick, Craig.
That was a good pick, Craig. Man, that was
Thanks.
fucking really.
Because
good.
if I would have just read about that movie on Shudder and it wasn't like a homework assignment, I
probably
would have never
wouldn't have
watched
watched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
I might have
"Ah."
added it to my list, thinking, well, it might be something worth watching,
Yeah,
but I
and
would have
never
never
watched
got to
it.
it.
Yeah. Be like, I'm not in the mood for drama. Like, I don't know.
And then I'd be dragging through my list one day, going,
Who the fuck are you?
what is this? What is this?
Yeah, so it was good. It was a good addition.
Very good. Awesome. Excellent. Well, thanks everybody again for listening to the American Nightmare podcast. Our viewership is about the same. We haven't gained any subscribers recently. I did see that Stitcher is shutting down. So for all of you that listen on Stitcher, I know there's a bunch of people that do subscribe through Stitcher. Stitcher's going away. So please find us on another podcast service. Again, we're in the Google Podcasts. We're in Apple Podcasts. You pick any other podcast service. Stitcher is going away. So sorry. Bye-bye, Stitcher. But if you got some other, you want to keep listening to us, please subscribe in one of the other podcast services, because we are in everything, including what's that popular fucking streaming?
Truth Social?
No, we're not in Truth Social. I'm sorry. And now and Facebook podcasts are gone too, so we're not listed there anymore. But anyway. Yes. Thank you for listening to the American Nightmare podcast. If you want some general feedback for us, it's feedback at the-american-nightmare.com, or check us out on Facebook. Send us an email at feedback at the-american-nightmare.com. Give us some top 5 lists. Give us some recommendations for films. We're going to run out of shit. There's no way that we can keep this going like that.
Yeah,
Is this
please,
for real?
I can't believe we're even getting to where we're at right now. How did we
Please.
even think of these ideas?
Anybody provides us with a list, we'll credit you with the list when we say
Yes.
we'll say your name 5 or 6 times.
Yes.
If you want us to advertise something for you, we'll do that.
Yes.
Just give us a list. It could be a
Yes.
shitty list, just give us a
Please.
list.
Please, we're dying here. All right. All right. Thanks everybody for listening, and you'll hear from us next month.
See you in July. Have a happy
Later.
Independence Day.
Yep.
Yes.